nation. I mean, it was all for the children. Literally, one of the sections of the argumentation, one of the primary sections of the argumentation, is that we have to do this because children living in a family with 2 lesbians or 2 homosexuals as their parents could be hurt by being told that their family isn't as good as other families. This actually appeared in argumentation from the Supreme Court as one of the reasons why we have to redefine marriage. Now, on any level, you just go, well, that's insane. That means that any kids who find themselves in, what about kids who are adopted by 3 lesbians or 3 homosexuals? Or what about all the kids in polygamous marriages right here in Utah? You just kicked the door open to a complete redefinition of everything. You just threw marriage under the bus. And yeah, it's exactly what they did. But I'm also sitting there going, excuse me, but those 2 guys did not produce that kid. Okay, that didn't come from, no, that doesn't. And you just sit here and you're going, am I really hearing this? Am I really reading this? Is this really coming from a Supreme Court justice? And the answer, of course, is yes. Yes, it is. So what do we do now? Well, a lot of people have pointed out that it's been quite some time since Roe v. Wade. And events of the past week have more than ever, I think, raised some hopes on the part of many people that we could see a further dismantling of that decision over time. I mean, we know so much more about the development of the unborn child, the humanity of that unborn child today than we ever did before. The excuses are gone. And so we go, hey, we didn't. For most Christians, that was actually the start of the battle, not the end of it. Isn't that the same thing here? Well, I could wish that were the case, but I see some differences here. I really do. I mean, certainly the progressive, and of course progression. If you fall off a mountain, you do progress to the bottom of the mountain. So that's how I see that term progressive today. Is we are progressing. It's the direction and the point of impact that is the only thing that really is a question. The activist court came up with rights that no one who originally penned the words of the Constitution could ever have thought of, and they did the same thing with Obergefell Hodges as well. So, to be honest with you, once words no longer mean anything, which the Supreme Court decision right before that one also demonstrated that words don't mean anything. The law said X, they meant Y, and therefore we're fine. Once that happens, there really isn't. All bets are off. There's really no way of reformation or correction at that point. But beyond that, it does seem to me that on this subject, what you have here is just such a tremendously knowledgeable and purposeful cultural act of rebellion that I see differences between this and the Roe decision. Now, if God grants grace, could we see 30 years from now a recognition? Wow, that was really dumb. Well, yeah, but it would require a whole lot of people to recognize that marriage is absolutely central to the continuation of culture and to the flourishing of mankind, and that would require, I think, a major change in worldview. What we have here is just what finally is the millennial generation that is the first fully secularized generation. The generation that they were raised by still had the remnants of a morality that was based upon a Christian worldview. It's gone. You just watch the heartbreaking videos of the responses of young people to the profaning of marriage, and they see it all as a mere issue of fairness. Mere issue of fairness. No concept whatsoever of recognizing the total redefinition of the institution itself. And that's the argument that won the day. It's not actually an argument. It's a means of deceiving the mind, because there was no unfairness. Anyone could get married who wanted to get married. The problem was they didn't want to get married in that way. They wanted to change the definition of what marriage is. And so it was a redefinition that was snuck in under the fact that there are very few Americans that would ever want to deny, quote-unquote, equality for anybody else. But as I've pointed out over and over again, we don't live that way. When you really start thinking about what that's all about, then you're basically saying from each according to his ability, and to each, you start going, oh, who wrote that? Oh, Karl Marx. Yeah, I remember him. If you want true equality, as I pointed out right when this happened, I think it's unfair that Shaquille O'Neal is over 7 feet tall. I want to self-identify as an NBA basketball player, and therefore I want to be able to dunk too. And so I think a 6.5-foot rim would be ideal. And that dude for Golden State, what was his name? Who's the? Yeah. Man, I want to be able to shoot threes like that too, but the thing's only 18 inches wide. That's not fair. So I think 36 inches wide. I think I could nail a lot more threes if it was 36 inches across. And so, huh? What? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, yeah, it's gotten a little bit more narrow over the years. So what would happen to establish equality in the NBA for me if the rims were 6.5 feet tall and 36 inches wide? Okay, we'd have games of 479 to 442, and which might be interesting, but I think a little boring. And obviously, what's neat about Curry nailing a three-pointer from 5 feet beyond the arc is much less neat when I do it into a peach basket or whatever. It requires the utter redefinition. It removes what's special about what's being redefined so as to make everything equal. And that's exactly what